Russia marked Orthodox Easter in Ukraine with a barrage of missiles, with the church among the targets on Easter Sunday. Villagers searched the rubble near the city of Zaporizhia, where their church suffered massive damage. No services were underway when the missile hit, and no one was hurt. But the head of the local military was incensed, saying nothing is sacred. And there was no lull in the ferocious fighting in and around Bakhmut. Ukraine says almost 100 Russian shellings were recorded around the city in just 24 hours, and about 30 firefights raged between Ukrainian and Russian forces for control of the devastated city. But there was also a little joy on this holiday. 130 Ukrainians are now free after a prisoner exchange with Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu in Moscow on Sunday, just weeks after Chinese leader Xi Jinping also visited the country. Mr. Putin told Li that President Xi's visit was, quote, very productive, and he praised their country's bilateral cooperation in multiple areas, including the military.
There is a very good development of relations between our countries in all areas, in the economic, social, cultural, and educational sectors. But we are also working actively through the military departments.
And this was Li's first foreign trip since becoming defense minister. He emphasized the, quote, special character and strategic importance of the Moscow-Beijing relationship. And CNN's Claire Sebastian is following all these developments for us. She joins us live from London. Good morning to you, Claire. So President Putin met with China's defense minister. What came out of that meeting?
Yeah, Rosemary, nothing concrete, although obviously that was a meeting that was going to be very closely watched, given what we know about the U.S. concerns that China may be considering supplying military aid for Russia's war in Ukraine. Nothing obvious came out, but these optics matter. This is the third high-level Chinese visit to Moscow in as many months. We first had the top diplomat, then, as you mentioned, the president himself, Xi Jinping, and now the new defense minister in his first overseas trip in that role. Very significant to see the commitment, the level of engagement on both sides. And I think to some degree, the target audience of those optics was the United States, the Chinese defense minister not missing an opportunity to mention the Cold War, saying that Moscow and Beijing have very strong relations that far surpass the military political alliances of the Cold War. I think a pretty clear statement on the fact that both sides are hoping this relationship will serve as a counterpoint to the US-led alliance and its support for Ukraine, even though, of course, publicly Beijing has not officially expressed support for Russia's war. It continues to foster that relationship. So, as I say, no concrete steps emerging from this meeting, but very significant optics as we watch how this relationship unfolds.
And Claire, what is the latest on fighting around Bakhmut?
So, an exceptionally violent, bloody weekend, Rosemary, according to the Ukrainian side. The spokesperson for the eastern grouping of the Ukrainian armed forces said that there was an unprecedented, in recent decades, level of fighting over the weekend, and that has continued into Monday morning. The Ukrainian General Staff saying that Russia is attacking Bakhmut suburbs, including locations on the supply route that Ukraine uses to get, food and medicine, ammunition in, and of course wounded soldiers out. They have said in recent days that those supply routes remain open, but clearly they are coming under attack. Now, also over the weekend, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported that Wagner had captured 2 districts to the north and south of Bakhmut. We have not been able to independently verify that, but I think that shows, 8.5 months into this battle, just how incremental it still is. 2 districts in a town that had a pre-war population of only 70,000, Rosemary.
All right, our thanks to Claire Sebastian joining us live from London.
China's Defense Minister Li Shangfu has met with Russian President in Moscow to hail their country's close military ties, which they say are developing well in all areas. Russia's president said Xi Jinping's recent visit to Russia was very productive, and military cooperation between the two countries was one of the most important areas that strengthens the remarkably trusting strategic nature of relations.